Thanks for joining us. This is the week ahead. We're doing this live. My name is Ibrahim Sani. I'm joined by my colleague Hafiz Marzuki. This is a
Thank you.
show that we showcase some of the events that should take place next week that would be of interest to you. Hafiz, how are you?
Yes, I'm great, Ibrahim. Thank you so much. As you know, this is actually the final week of July, and of course, there are a couple of big things happening this week. Actually, the first is, of course, the I would say much anticipated Parliament sitting, which begins tomorrow, and of course, we also have the ongoing vaccination drive. But this week will be extra special because of the Operation Surge capacity, where we'll see an increase vaccination rate, especially for the Greater Klang Valley area. But first, let's talk about the Olympics.
I think this is how we are going to remember living with COVID. We keep on talking about living with COVID. I don't think it's a good idea to bring hundreds of thousands of people from all around the world into one place. I completely understand if the local Japanese citizens don't like these foreigners to come in right now at this present moment. We know Japan has a very low vaccination rate amongst OECD countries. We know that they're still grappling with trying to resolve some of the issues of rising COVID cases in their country. But at the same time, life must go on. And I think having an Olympics during this period is important to showcase to the world this is how we should live with COVID.
I totally agree with you, Ibrahim, because I mean, what better way to showcase, an example of moving on in pandemic times? We've been dealing, and I believe Japan has been dealing with the pandemic as well for the past more than 18 months. I believe they have put in every sort of measures they have talked about the pandemic. Let's just hope that it doesn't turn into a big and huge cluster, because we know what happened to Euro 2020. We've heard reports of a number of clusters emerging from these Euro 2020 matches. Let's just hope that with the way things are structured for the Olympics this time, we'll get to see actually a model event on how we can actually hold a big sporting event during the times of COVID-19. Ibrahim.
And for the Malaysian contingent there, we wish you all the best. Continue to fly the Jalur Gemilang really high. We are all proud of you. Let's move on to the first big story of this evening, which is, of course, the sitting of the Parliament that will take place tomorrow. It seems like we will have a full course of set of events that are happening over the week. The Parliament will start its session at 10 a.m., will end at 5:30 p.m. Here's the Speaker of the House, Dato' Art Harun or Azizan Harun on the matter.
Persidangan khas ni, kuasa masa tu adalah terletak kepada saya. Jadi saya dah tetapkan bahawa kita akan bersidang 10 sampai 1, lepas tu kita rehat 2.30 sampai 5.30. Ya, tetapi kalau ada senarai pembahas tu panjang lagi ke apa waktu tu, saya akan panjangkan hingga pukul 6.30 insya-Allah. Ya. Kita lihatlah bagaimana dia perjalanan dia kan. Perbahasannya ramai orang ke macam mana. So saya akan buat keputusan hari-hari.
I think it's also important for us to understand some of the rising cases amongst MPs. Very recently, we've learned that the UMNO president, Dato' Sri Zahid Hamidi, has been confirmed to have COVID. Not just that, some other MPs are also confirmed to be positive as well. And on top of that, there are officials and some of their near people that they're working with close by. So how does this impact the parliamentary sitting? Now, we all know that most of the MPs are vaccinated with double doses. Some, and very few of those, are only at single dose. And it seems like one or two reports of 1 or 2 MPs might not have started their vaccination programs outright. Now, I don't know how clear we are in terms of these cases, but one thing is for sure, if it can be done by meeting the minimum quorum of a meeting to be held, I think the parliamentary sitting should go on. And while I wish the UMNO President good health and continue to persevere during this very tough time, and all the other MPs as well that might be positive as well. But, life must go on. Remember, we preface this on living with COVID. This is how we should be living with COVID. And I know there are talks out there on the auspicious timing of MPs being found to be COVID positive, on the eve or the day before parliamentary sitting is going to be done. I think that's inconsequential, because even if MPs can be found to be positive COVID, it doesn't mean the show has to stop. The show must go on. And this is in the pursuit of doing the business for the people. That's why we have SOPs in place. What do you think, Hafiz?
Yeah, it's only natural, Ibrahim, because if you look at the positivity rate in terms of testing, and especially all these MPs have to undergo testing before they attend the parliament, right? So it's better for us to know earlier rather than we only know they're positive after 2-3 days of parliament sitting. And I totally agree with you on the part that we have to, life has to go on. Clearly, we can see that the COVID-19 is moving towards an endemic phase. And part of living with an endemic is basically finding ways to counter any sort of challenges that may emerge. And I think, some may see it as a surprise that we hear maybe the number of MPs found to be positive with COVID-19 is surprising. 35 is a large number. But nevertheless, we kind of expect this to happen, right? Because MPs, Member of Parliament, are among those who frequently meet people, they have meetings, they send aids to everyone within their constituencies. They also engage with stakeholders, etc., etc. So they are a quite high exposure group. So I think what we can do is to prepare ourselves to face with this eventuality, where every sitting we might find or we might hear news of MPs being tested positive for COVID, Ibrahim.
Yeah, it should be a normal story, and it should be a normal occurrence that MPs are going to get COVID. What is abnormal is for Parliament to be out of session for months on end when we are at war with that little virus of COVID. That is the one that is abnormal. So for our second story, it's still on the parliamentary sitting. Now the question is whether or not every MP has the ability to have the floor, to speak their mind, to be spontaneous, and to have that debate. There seems to be a perception that was leveled by some MPs, particularly those in the opposition, that says that they might not be given the opportunity to speak during the parliamentary sitting. This is the Speaker of the House again dispelling that notion.
Motion ni sebab ini this is a special sitting. Okay, this special sitting is different from the normal sitting. Okay, special sitting is called pursuant to and under Standing Order 11 in bracket 3 of the standing orders. Yeah, 11 in bracket 3. Okay, it is called by the Prime Minister. All right, and only the Prime Minister will appoint the business to be transacted during a special sitting. Okay, so nobody else has a say on what is to be discussed during a special sitting other than the Prime Minister.
What do you make of this, Hafiz? I mean, he's the Speaker of the House, he's the convener of the meeting, and he's citing a law that says that only the Prime Minister has the ability to decide what needs to be discussed, what cannot be discussed. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on the rules of the House and everything, Ibrahim. But nevertheless, I think for the Speaker of the House or Speaker of Dewan Rakyat, that is the only thing he has to say in these times of uncertainty, right? Yes, the Prime Minister has the right to determine what goes on to the special sitting, but the Prime Minister can also say that, well, the special sitting should go on just like any other sitting. And I think it is important that I think some of the issues that were raised by MPs are valid, because we do not want this parliament sitting to turn into a briefing session. There should be some sort of debate injected into this session, because We do not want to hear just one side giving their take on things, because there needs to, when we talk about debates, there need to be two opposing or differing thoughts on a matter, and I think Parliament is the best platform for that to happen. And I'm happy to hear that he actually says that everyone, or rather every member of Parliament, will be given a chance to speak. But to what extent, that remains to be seen, and we have to see it starting tomorrow, Ibrahim.
One thing interesting is that the MP for Tuaran has suggested that 13 more parliamentary select committees or special select committees should be created to allow for all 220 MPs to function full time. I absolutely agree with this. I do believe that a lot of the MPs don't have jobs when they do go to the parliament other than to be a backbencher. I do believe that in some functioning parliaments and also US Congress, they have a day job. They preside upon select committees to discuss pertinent issues that will be raised by members of their own party, by the members of the public, and so on, to decide and discuss and debate some key issues. I think there's nothing wrong having more than the 9 or 10 select committees on top of this, having 13 more to allow for all the other MPs to work. I just don't see the downside of it. I don't know whether this suggestion by one MP from Tuaran is going to make it work, but it is a good suggestion to think about. We now move to our third story, which is on the possibility of MPs doing a hybrid session, not just for this parliamentary session, but other parliamentary sessions moving forward. It appears that according to the Speaker, the health and safety of the MPs will be of paramount in determining the factor on making this decision. Here's the Speaker of the House yet again talking about this.
Secara hybrid tu tak boleh buat sekarang sebab peraturan semua belum dipinda, kan? Jadi kalau terjadi tu, maka of course terus kita terpaksalah minta nasihat Kementerian Kesihatan tentang perkara tersebut. Maka mengikut nasihat KKM yang lepas masa bajet tu, Tan Sri DG pernah beritahu saya kalau terjadi maka dia akan tengoklah berapa orang yang kena. Dia orang akan trace lah pergerakan MP, pergerakan orang yang kena tu, dia pergi ke mana, dan dia akan decide lah berapa kontak rapat dia.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like scuttling a lot of the efforts that the other MPs want. The UK has been trying to do a hybrid session of Parliament since July last year. If you just Google Virtual Parliament UK, they've been talking about this since July last year. Some time ago, we've had young Malaysians convening and congregating, 222 of them doing stuff online. It can be done. I don't know what the restrictions are. I think the only problem when it comes to doing a virtual parliament are two: the concept of debating and the spontaneity of it. I think if you try to address these two elements in doing a virtual sitting, I think it's possible. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, technologically it's definitely possible, right? Because other countries have been doing it. But if you hear clearly to what the Speaker of the House, Dato' Azhar, is saying, he's basically saying that it's a constitutional limitation. And of course, I don't study every single letter of our constitution, but I believe constitution can be amended to actually accommodate this sort of sitting. And I think all we actually need is for proper debates to be done on it. So maybe if whether it's the Speaker or the Minister in charge of Law and Parliament, maybe it's time to table some sort of amendment to make hybrid a possibility, or hybrid sitting a possibility, and let the MPs decide what is best for the country and for the Dewan Rakyat as well as the Dewan Negara. I think that's the way forward, and I think it should be given due consideration on that front, Ibrahim.
Whatever it is, however the situation may be, it is untenable to keep the parliament frozen for any time longer. And in fact, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Sri Paduka Yang di-Pertuan Agong has already asked for the parliamentary sitting to be conducted ASAP. So we are in need of a parliamentary sitting to be done. I'm extremely excited about the parliamentary sitting taking place tomorrow. I hope that everybody will behave and will, be a grown-up in the August House, because we've had enough of the politicking that is going on, and the mudslinging that has been going on. We want a proper debate, and we want proper administration of how the legislative body, the executive body, is going to be administered using the parliament. And that is key right now. We'll take one short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about the vaccination programs and the status of the COVID-19 situation in the country. We'll be right back after these messages. Thanks for staying on with us. This is The Week Ahead. My name is Ibrahim Sani. I'm joined by my colleague Hafiz Marzuki. Our fourth story is about the so-called vaccine dividend, or the possibility of those that have been double vaccinated to receive a little bit more freedom, a little bit more liberty. This kind of conversation is still happening, and we are expecting some kind of announcement to be taking place next week. Here is the PM speaking on the matter.
Within the next few days, we will finalize this. I will announce it as a total package, including other areas of social activities, sports, and something, or dine-in. These are the detailed things that I will announce soon. And I do hope with this, of course, it gives you a bit of room or space, a breathing space for you to at least live slightly a better life.
I don't know. I think the PM is stuck between a rock and a hard place. There are a lot of people that want a little bit more freedom, a little bit more liberty when it comes to having been double dosed. They should be given this kind of leeway. But there are a lot more, myself included. I'm in this second group where I believe that the liberty should not be given or granted. Because we're still looking at very small amount of people. Yeah, about 5 million Malaysians have been double vaccinated, and cases are rising. 17,000 daily case was a number that was projected by KKM to hit mid-August. They made this prediction back in July 15th, when the R number was predicted to be at 1.2. But since we've hit 17,000 today, that means that the R number could no longer possibly be at 1.2. It is far higher than that. And what that also means is that 17,000 is just the start of a surge of possible numbers that could be far higher than that in the weeks to come. And all this is happening amidst the Operation Surge, 1-point-something million Malaysians being vaccinated, and so on. It doesn't take away the fact that a lot more Malaysians are being vaccinated. It doesn't take away the fact that a lot more people are being denied, sick people being denied of access or entry towards ICU. Every day, we see numbers of people being admitted into ICU, but Dr. Rafidah was talking about what are the numbers of people that needs ICU but not being allowed to be given an ICU bed. What are the size of this grouping, this cohort that we need to talk about? So, the situation is dire, and not to mention tomorrow, we have to also expect, because this is the week ahead after all, that junior doctors are going to walk out from their posts at the hospital for the Black Flag movement, and to ask for better compensation to their employment situation. So, on top of all this, should we really need to talk about vaccine dividend for the double vaxxers? I don't think so.
Listening to you laying out the stark realities that we are facing actually kind of proves that there is some need for optimism, and I think that's where the PM statement comes in. He's trying to inject a bit of optimism to the people, something to look forward to. But I guess I'm also with you on this, Ibrahim. I'm probably within the second group, just like you said. Maybe the dividends or the perks and the privileges of being fully vaccinated, should not be given as of now. But I do believe some sort of announcement should be given in order to entice the remaining 20% also who has yet to register in our vaccination program, Ibrahim, because we have to remember that basically we are facing an endemic, and every single percentage of population that registered for the vaccine increases the chance for us to actually defeat COVID-19. And I think at this point in time, we need everyone to be on board for the battle ahead. And I think we will continue on monitoring the situation. We definitely would like to hear what kind of leeway is being presented. And I believe the announcement will be coming soon, Ibrahim.
Let's move on to our final story, which is the ongoing police investigation into the sale of unauthorized vaccines. Here is the minister, the coordinating minister for the immunization program, Khairi Jamaluddin, speaking on the matter.
The police are investigating all these claims. I believe there's one case that has been referred to the DPP of a case of somebody trying to sell vaccinations. So we take all these allegations and reports seriously. When it is reported in social media or in any other mainstream media, we will immediately lodge a police report for the police to investigate. So in this particular case, I'm sure that the Secretariat at CITF will also lodge a police report. And we take seriously any allegations of selling vaccines that is outside the purview of PIC or PICAS or any of the approved later on private vaccination market.
Yeah, last week he had a joint press conference with the health minister. I think that was probably one of the more important press conferences that he has given in recent weeks. Why? Because it addresses the issues surrounding the vaccination programs. Number one, can you even take a video during a PPV? He has given a clear statement that you can take a video. All this is being transcribed on JKJAV's official postings on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. He also untangled the story of Sinovac, whether or not PIC has discontinued Sinovac, in which he clearly says that Sinovac has run its course. They've ordered 12 million doses. It has been delivered ahead of time, and now it's just moving on to other vaccines that they have now ordered. And of course, the third idea, whether Pharmaniaga can now sell vaccines in the private market. He says that there shouldn't be any problems. They are still giving or looking forward to giving the official announcement. But more importantly, they are thinking about giving a price cap ceiling if you want to buy vaccines in the private market. These are just some of the ideas, some of the things that he has clarified during that press conference. There's a lot more. And I urge everyone watching this, if you want to understand how to navigate the week ahead, try to understand what he was sharing last week in that press conference in order for you to give a better clarity into how you can move forward, particularly when it comes to the vaccination programs. We are looking at a lot of Malaysians running up to the vaccination centers to be vaccinated. Some of them had to be turned away because they were walk-ins, because they're young, they're not past the 60 years old. Some of them, even though they're below 60, but they did the walk-in, they were given, right? Just because they had extras, or because the PPVs was able to cater for them for that particular day. I myself am looking forward for my own vaccination. It's going to take place on August the 2nd, about 8 days from now. And that is something that I'm really looking forward to. And I want to understand about these items, particularly when it comes to the vaccination rate. The only way forward for us right now, because the government has made it as such, is the vaccination. It seems like all our eggs are in this basket. We really don't have any other options left.
Yeah, I think judging from how the health DG Tan Sri Nur Hisham has been saying, using Labuan as a case example, where once they step up vaccination rates in Labuan, the cases have started to go down. And in fact, we're starting to see even in the Klang Valley itself, the percentage of level 1, level 2 to the more serious level in COVID have also tipped in the favor of I would say the asymptomatic and the cases with mild symptoms. So that's good news. We have to take any piece of good news right now, and we hope that in the coming week we will continue to see vaccination rate step up. In fact, we want to continue on seeing more than 400,000 daily vaccination rate. All the best to you, Ibrahim, in your vaccine shot taking this coming August. In fact, my wife just taken her first dose of vaccine today, and we'll be looking to complete as many people as possible come 31st of August. Ibrahim.
Before we end this show, one thing that is definitely going to be seen tomorrow, Monday, is the walkout of the junior doctors regarding their pay discrepancies and regarding their status of employment and regarding their inability to pursue postgraduate studies. In this vein, the Director General of Health has issued a statement through his Facebook post. He says that to our junior colleagues on contract post, I urge you, please do not join the demonstration. Do not abandon your duty to your patients. Remember, many lives are on the line, and the demonstration could affect their lives and even your career. That is the statement that was given by the DG of Health to the junior doctors. However, I do believe that the junior doctors are set on what they're doing. All I want is a peaceful resolution on this. But until then, that's it for the week ahead. Get the latest news on all the updates on COVID vaccines on astroawani.com and the Astro Awani app. My name is Ibrahim Sani.
And I'm Hafiz Mazuki, signing off for this edition of The Week Ahead. Good night.